Welcome, everybody, to Taste Different Gaming News. What's in the news today? Borderlands 4 and Randy Pitchford. All right, before we get started, make sure you hit like, share, subscribe, notifications, all those good buttons that help keep you up to date to the things we enjoy most of video games. All right, let's jump into it. So, a couple of things to jump in here today. Borderlands 4 boss Randy Pitchford, addresses real fans tweet controversy. Nobody likes being taken for granted, and it was not my intent. Yeah. So Randy Pitchford has addressed a backlash to his controversial Borderlands 4 $80 real fans tweet after someone ran it through a Handsome Jack AI. Pitchford sparked backlash in responding to a fan who had expressed concerns about the prospect of paying $80 for Borderlands 4, Pitchford saying, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. Randy, this is the exchange. He says, Randy, the game better not be $80. Don't take that risk. A lot of gamers aren't going to pay $80 and feed this notion of constant increase of your price tag. You are a CEO. You have some say with the price when it comes to your publisher. And here's Pitchford's response. A, not my call. If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. That's what rapists usually say. My local game store had a Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Prismo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen. Got to believe in yourself, guys. So I'll give my opinion on that a little bit later. And there's also issues now coming up with Borderlands 4 and the new user agreement. Fans are dubbing the action RPG spyware. So ahead of the Borderlands 4 launch, fans of action RPG series Gearbox Software rallying online to share their thoughts on Take-Two Interactive's new terms of service. As pointed out by a player in a recent Reddit thread, the Borderlands games are currently facing a review bomb of sorts on Steam. Basically coming down to the response of you'll make it happen for $80. And now this. People are review bombing the entire Borderlands series because of the EULA changes that can apparently gain root level access. These guys are tech. I'll let them fall into this. Root level access to your machine under the guise of anti-cheat software. The poster continues explaining how fans are upset at the prospect of Take-Two's collecting personal info like accounts, passwords, and telephone numbers, etc. One look at the Steam page for each of the three main Borderlands entries serves as proof the players are indeed upset about the new terms of service. Under the first game's recent reviews, which have been dropped to mixed, people share their concerns about the user agreement. And then there's more to go on about this, but it's coming down, in my opinion, to Randy Pitchford not quite grasping what $80 means to a gamer. And two, just more invasiveness of corporations into everything. Now, granted, everybody probably just hits, okay, terms of service. Okay, terms of service. I just want to get to my shit. That's why they do it that way. So let's jump to these guys. Let them give their take on it. Nick, what do you think, bud? One, Randy Pitchford being just an oblivious millionaire dick, or is he correct? And what do you think about this EULA?
Well, Randy Pitchford's always been this way, so it's not surprising. I don't know, $80 for Borderlands. Truthfully, I wasn't a huge fan of Borderlands 3. I didn't really care for Borderlands 3. So I don't really have a lot of high hopes for Borderlands 4. I think Borderlands 2 is the last one I really enjoyed. I think the DLC, that one that came out, that spin-off one, where you play as like kind of
Tiny
a miniature
Tina Wonderland.
Yeah, that one was not bad. But Borderlands 3, we played that one, and I didn't have as much fun as like Borderlands 2 or Borderlands with that one. Like, I just didn't feel it with that one. So I don't have a lot of high hopes for Borderlands 4. And really, Borderlands 4 looks the same as every Borderlands. So why $80? Like, just because you can, really, you're not introducing anything. Graphically, it looks the same. The way the game plays looks the same. It looks exactly the same as the same Borderlands we've been getting for years now. So it's like, I don't know. I guess I'm just not a big enough fan. So I'm not really looking forward to Borderlands 4. But that's just me. Again, I didn't have that much fun with 3, so I don't really have high hopes for 4. We'll see how it goes, right? With the $80 price tag. Like, if it does come out at $80, that's a lot. That's asking a lot for a game like Borderlands. That doesn't seem like it requires that high of a price tag for that type of game, right? But the terms of service changes, that's pretty bad. So apparently, it's like, I was reading some reviews because they review bombing on Steam, and one person said that the important info in the terms of service is mods are a bannable offense, display of cheats / exploits is bannable, forced aberration so long as it's permitted in your region, you can be banned from using a VPN while connecting to the online servers, cannot access game content on a virtual PC, and they reserve the right to modify the agreement in whole or in part at any time. So, they can basically collect usernames and passwords, IP locations, and browser history data. You don't need kernel. I hate kernel level anti-cheat. I understand why some companies want to use it, but I don't like anything that goes that deep into your PC for a game. Especially Borderlands is not a PvP game. It's a PvE game. So it's like, I don't know if they're introducing some sort of PvP thing into 4, but it's not an online PvP, like, ranked battle type thing. So it's like, who gives a crap if people cheat or, whatever. Like, if you're playing with your buddies and you want to use like cheat codes to get the best weapons in Borderlands 4, then go for it. Like, I don't give a crap. It doesn't bother me any, right? It's whatever. Or if you're playing online with just randoms and somebody's using a cheat on there and you don't like it, just get off of there and go join another random lobby, right? Or something like that, or play by yourself. Like, again, it's an online PvE game, co-op game. So I hate companies that want to throw out these terms of services and stuff like that, or these huge restrictions on games that are strictly co-op, right? I hate, like, it's understandable for PvP type games, but for PvE, it doesn't make sense to me. And especially, like, even like some companies do that, like, go this far on single player games. Like, we've seen it recently with a lot of single player titles where they've upgraded the terms of service, or they've, said they'll ban people and stuff. And it's a single player game, right? It's like, there's no online anything besides connecting for DRM, right? Other than that, there's no online functionality. So it's like, it's getting ridiculous out there with these terms of service and what these companies think they need from a user. You don't need all that information. The kernel level anti-cheat, like, again, I don't like how intrusive that is on your system. I know, like, there's a lot of games that utilize that, but I try to avoid those if I know that they use a kernel level anti-cheat. But again, if you want to play them, you're going to have to install it anyway, right? The thing that sucks about those is getting rid of it, right? Once you uninstall the game, like, getting that stuff out of your system, because it embeds itself in your registry and various things like that. And it's really difficult. Like, usually the uninstaller does not take care of that. So you have parts and pieces of that anti-cheat strung around everywhere in your system still, even if you uninstall the game. And that's what a lot of people don't like about it, especially that, and the fact that that's like base level, or not base level, but I mean like, the bottom level entry into your machine, right? And everything you do, it's like, get out of my bubble, get out of my house type of thing, right? They're in your bedroom in a sense. So yeah, it's pretty bad. I don't know. We'll see Gearbox has not been like they used to be. Gearbox is kind of like, I feel like Gearbox is one of those companies that used to be good, but nowadays they still make some good stuff here and there, but they tend to be like a little bit more of or corporate than anything. Like before it almost felt like Gearbox was more like a passionate company making some cool games. And now they're more corporate side of things where it's all about the moolah, the money. So they don't care who they'll piss off as long as they're making the cash, right? I don't know. So yeah, it's all around bad. We'll see. But again, I'm not like really super looking forward to Borderlands 4 anyway. Pat, what do you think?
So I think a couple things here is that, from my understanding, is that EULA is Take-Two's boilerplate EULA. So it's all their games are getting that EULA. So they're covering themselves for every game that they're putting out. And I'm assuming a lot of that stuff is geared more towards like their big, massive upcoming game, Grand Theft Auto.
But yeah, I was going to say Grand Theft Auto. Right?
There's not been any confirmation that Borderlands 4 is going to use a kernel level anti-cheat. They've not said that that's in Borderlands 4, but it's just the wording in the EULA has got everybody all up in arms. But like I said, it's Take-Two's boilerplate EULA. So it's just they're going to put everything under the sun in there, right? That we want to do that. We can do whatever we want. And a lot of that stuff, like no hosting on a virtual server, is probably to prevent people from private servers to paying for like cloud gaming and things like that without their approval. So that's probably what a lot of that is around. But yes, I'm with you. I hate kernel level anti-cheat because that shit's exploitable. You basically compromise your entire system if that anti-cheat system gets exploited. And if I'm a person looking to gain access to people's system, I'm going to look at the most popular games out there, and Grand Theft Auto is going to be one of them. And I'm going to be like, how do I exploit that anti-cheat system? And then basically take over access to parts of your computer, exploit them, things like that. Because what essentially you have to do is you have to trust Take-Two to patch, or whoever their kernel level access anti-cheat software provider is, right? Because I don't think it's them. I can't remember who's the creator of it, but you have to trust that software developer has honest people on their staff. They're not sharing source code with people that are, selling source code where they're not supposed to be. Their repositories are protected, things like that. So you have to trust that they're doing everything in their power to prevent their application from being exploited, which there's no oversight there. We don't know. There's not a lot that's being released about their software. So because if they do, then you can understand how to circumvent it. But at the same time, they're preventing the good guys out there from preventing or, saying, hey, red flag here, there's an exploit for your software because you use these stacks or whatever to call your code. So, that, in my opinion, is a bad thing. We're trusting that we're giving your application kernel level access, but what's preventing something else from exploiting your application's level of access and then compromising my system? So, but that's what it's coming down to, right? I agree with you. A single player non PvP based game shouldn't have kernel level access. Don't give a shit. Don't care. If you're playing co-op with your buddies or single player and you cheat, that's on you. That's you that gets to decide whether that's whether that's okay or not. So like I said, a co-op or single player, that stuff doesn't need to be on there. But we know what they're going to use it for. They're going to use it for data mining, gathering crap, whether they're supposed to be or not. What information they're gathering. They could say they're gathering one thing, but they could be gathering another thing, and you don't know about it because it's buried somewhere in the agreement that you clicked OK to that says we're allowed to gather this data or data mine or sell this data or do whatever the hell we want. Because remember, you're paying for their product, but you're also their product because they're going to sell you too. They sell your information. So, it is what it is, especially because when you work with these large companies like Take-Two, they just make so much money, and they're like, well, how else can we make money off of this? We're going to make money on the game. We're going to make money on the people, the commodity. Yeah. So, like I said, it's them. It's Take-Two, boilerplate EULA for all their games. So everything that's in there is not necessarily going to be in Borderlands 4. So we may not have a kernel level anti-cheat in there. But Borderlands 4 doesn't have a PvP mode, does it?
I don't think it ever has, but I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think 3 had one or 2 or anything.
But I'm not worried about an employee. I'm worried about the company, because those are the ones I distrust the most of all. I mean, they're the ones that are just going to straight up go, all right, we got in, we're going to take all their shit, sell it to God knows who, put it on whatever market we want, because they gave us permission. Right. They hit the checkbox.
They're going to Grand Theft Auto you.
Pizza the Hut's going to quarter for you. But yeah, Take-Two. Yeah. They're going to take twice as much. Take-Two.
Oh yeah,
they're going to do No Way Out in your computer. Yeah, because they are a very popular company these days. I mean, the split fiction game, Borderlands, Grand Theft Auto, a lot of stuff is coming out that's very popular from them, and so they're like, hey, and they're going about it incorrectly with this type of stuff, But like I said, maybe it's not incorrectly. It's just it needs to be clarified what games are going to have these systems in play. EULAs are supposed to be there to protect them, but in a sense, they're just trying to protect themselves from getting sued by taking too much data or whatever. Mm-hmm. But they're going to basically say, you want to play our game, you have to agree to these terms. And if you don't agree to these terms, you don't get to play our game.
It's not your game. It's their game. It's their game always forever.
Yes. You are just paying to play it.
Exactly. Which is a load of rubber dog shit that needs to be rectified real quick. We need to protect consumers on that. Because if I pay for it, that's mine.
Yeah.
If it says buy,
but you're not paying for it. Yeah. Well, that's why everybody's changing the terms, right? We talked about that not too long ago. Like Steam and California has passed some laws where you can't actually say purchase now. You can't imply that I'm buying something that I'm not, because you're leasing. You're paying a software lease essentially. So
that's what happens when we give corporations way too much power and control.
When you give away
over
physical control of the media, you no longer have physical access to the media.
That's mine. That should be mine. If it said buy, then it's mine. God dang it.
But I'm also with Nick. I am not like super stoked. I'm not like chomping at the bit to play Borderlands. And I'll be honest, even if Borderlands comes out at $70, I don't think it's a day one buy for me. It's probably I can wait.
Wait on sale buy. Yeah.
Right. And, and then the way the CEO treats treats their customers, to me, just says everything. I mean, that guy, I don't know much about him as CEO. I never paid too much attention to him. But just by those comments alone, you're not a real man. That reminds me of that real men, the real men of whatever, if you're not a real man, you don't do this. If you're not a real fan, you don't do this. It's like, well, I guess count me as not a real fan,
Yeah.
Don't treat your customers like they're garbage and expect them to still stick around. I know plenty of diehard fans of Borderlands out there. I don't know if they'll get it or not, but they probably will. But people who aren't like diehard fans that were probably I don't know. It's not an $80 game to me. Hell, I don't even know if it's a $70 game to me. Which, like I said, I'm not chomping at the bit, so I can probably wait for it to go on sale for $50 or something, or somewhere around there. Okay. It'll be whichever one of the three of us bites the bullet first will be setting the price for the rest of us, because that's when we'll all play. We'll be like, oh, I got this, and we're like, oh, okay, we're all going to get it to play it.
That is the only reason to consider this game in our group, is the fact that it's cooperative. That's the only reason to consider.
It's more of the same, right?
as an earlier, as a upfront purchase instead of a wait for it to hit the bargain bin at Walmart purchase. So I won't be getting it anytime soon. And it seems like and primarily it's because, one, if it is $80, definitely no. If it came out at 60, maybe 70, I would have considered it, but I won't buy it
until the comments,
right? Yeah. I won't buy it at full price until I feel it's worth the money, because what Randy Pitchford said was what is wrong with it is one of the wrongest things in the gaming industry right now.
Yeah. I don't give a shit about what you think. Buy my crap.
Yeah.
Is essentially what they're saying. It's like, I don't give
Yep.
a shit. Buy my crap. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, how about I don't buy your crap?
Yeah. I mean, he could have been a bigger dick and Don Matrick that thing. Well, you don't like Borderlands 4? We have Borderlands 3 for you. Yeah. Fuck Randy Pitchford. Pardon my language. But anyways.
No, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That turns people away from a company. And I'm surprised that there's not more investor outcry here in that are not like, the hell's wrong with you, dude? Like, why are you intentionally fanning those flames? Right? You can be tactful about it and saying, yeah, it's going to be $80 because of this, this, and this. But instead of him like being somewhat nice about it, he's just twisting the knife of the $80 price tag and saying, well, do it or don't. You know.
Yeah, he could have straight out said, hey, I don't have full control of that. I can offer my opinion on it, but that's all I can do.
Right. Well, he could have just said,
or he could have said, well, I'm sorry, but he could have made up the corporate bullshit and just said, hey, with the way everything is going right now and cost of everything, it has to be $80. I'm sorry, but that's just,
he didn't have to be a dick about it, is what we're saying.
Exactly.
Well, I don't think he sets the price, so.
No, but he
has some say in it.
He definitely could provide his input upon that price. Not that it would get taken by any means.
I'm just saying he could just come out and say that, like, hey, I don't set the price. Like,
and
well, I think that he could have addressed this whole thing in 1,000 different goddamn ways that would have prevented such outrage. But that's just the way it is. It's the way he wanted to be, and the way Take-Two wants to be.
Yeah,
and that's it's sad, but I will not be purchasing it anytime soon. And quite honestly, if GTA comes out at that price, I would have to put some reconsideration on that.
Right, like we all know that Take-Two is going to set the publisher is essentially going to set the price, right? Because they may take his input, but like I said, there's more tactful ways of saying that. And saying, he did say that I don't have control over that, right? But he went one step further and been like, real fans will buy it.
Yeah.
Real fans will find a way. And I'm pretty sure he misquoted the cost of that game you listed, because I was pretty sure that was not an $80 game, that second game. It was like a $70 game.
Nintendo had some $80 games when the 64 or the Super released. One or the other, I can't remember. There was a few of those high-dollar games. I think like Conquerors was an $80 game, because it had those special, packs and stuff with it.
I mean, Borderlands 3 is a $60 game.
So they jumped up from 60 to 80 between the two franchises, if they're going to do that, right?
No. It's a joke. Randy Pitchford's a joke. This whole thing should be, I personally feel, like we always say, I just say straight ass boycott it. Say Randy Pitchford's got to go because he is anti-consumer and he's a dick and he makes you look bad.
He does make him look bad.
I say fire him, but I'm also me. So,
I mean, that is very anti-consumer speech, right? Anti-customer.
Yep. But anyways, you guys have anything else before I start ripping and raving on Randy Pitchford? Nope. All right. So before we get out of here, let us know what you think in the comments below. Are you going to be picking it up at 80? You got to tell Randy Pitchford to suck a bag of cat buttholes. What do you think about this whole thing? What do you think about the EULA? Do you think they really have that need and right to do so much invasive shit to your computer? Let us know in the comments below. Let us know what you think about what we think. We're always appreciative of tasteful and tactful comments. There's some out there that are just a-holes, and that's all right. I can be an a-hole back. So anyways, make sure you hit like, share, subscribe, notifications, all those good buttons, and we'll see you next time. See ya.